Welcome back to the U.S. Hot Rod Association's Mud and Monster Truck Racing Championships in the Seattle Kingdome, brought to you in part by Kicker High Performance Auto Speakers by Stillwater Designs. Well, Brett, looks like that Jeff Boehner actually pulled it off.
It's absolutely incredible. In front of the hometown fans, the incredible high-voltage Jeep is #1 qualifier in this incredible field. Looking at the way qualifying ended up, the good news is that Jeff was #1 qualifier. The bad news is that he has to race Gene Patterson and Bigfoot in the very first pair of the very first round. It'll be the Barefoot Chevrolet taking on Mike Welch's Monster Mash Chevy-powered Ford, and then the Hot Stuff Jeep with brand-new driver Todd Blazer behind the wheel will take on the brand-new Hot Tempered Jeep with lady driver Randy Lynn from Aberdeen, Washington behind the wheel of that machine. And then, of course, Gary Sargent, the Skull Bandit, takes on the Canadian Taurus Chevrolet, and the crowd is ready.
Looks like the crowd is really getting prepared because things get a little noisy when the mud racers get out there. And looks like Dad's got his ears covered.
And rightfully so. The super modified mud racers are now coming out for their qualifying round for 4 available positions for the brand new Camel shootout.
Starting the action off for us will be Tom Nias in Rude Awakening. And alongside of him is Mud Dancer, driven by Jim Berg. He's from Seattle, Washington, so he is also in front of the hometown crowd.
I'll tell you, Tom Nias in the near lane with the Rude Awakening Ford Ranger. That is one of the prettiest mud racers we have seen in this new 1990 season. It's powered by a Ford small block with a supercharger and fuel injector system. And this driver, Jim Berg, in the Mud Dancer Jeep CJ Funny car using a carbureted Chevrolet engine, by far one of the most consistent racers in the northwestern part of the country. What a pass for the small block Ford, but unbelievably enough, he can't stop the thing as he slides over the disqualification line down at the finish line. I cannot believe I saw that. We have about 80 foot of shutdown area here for this 80-foot long pit. Here you see Jim Berg leading the starting line in the Mud Dancer, an entry that is known for its consistency in the Northwest. As the first driver out, he hits a lot of that water that's accumulated on top of the mud. But watch the front end come up on top of the mud there near the finish line. After a rather dismal starting line launch, Berg manages to salvage it with a pretty decent top end, Kelly.
He should be pretty happy with this. He had a elapsed time of 2.9 seconds. He should be really happy.
Well, at 2.90 seconds, I don't know if that's exactly the best we can expect here this particular event. Let's look at the starting line launch of the Ford. Left front wheel in the air. Look at Tom Nias steering this Ranger to keep it inbounds during the actual run. Picture perfect run for the supercharged small block Ford. Now, at this point, I presume the brakes are so wet that Nias cannot stop this thing. Watch the white line on the concrete shutdown area. That's the disqualification mark. He rolls right over it. That's an automatic DQ in U.S. Hot Rod Association Camel Racing. What a disappointment.
Coming up next in mud racing action is Bog Hog, driven by Keith Horton. And he is a Washington native, another Washington native, Jim Kimball, and he's driving Eagle's Nest.
I'll tell you, between these two vehicles, you couldn't ask for two more unusual super modified mud racers. Jim Kimball's machine, a very, very short wheelbase, almost stock appearing Jeep CJ. The Bog Hog, an original Willys all-steel pickup truck with Chevrolet motivation and nitrous oxide injection. Engine forward to the starting line. In this particular duel, the Bog Hog and the Eagle's Nest Jeep CJ, a tremendous explosion on the starting line for Keith Horton. If I had to guess, I'd say that was a nitrous oxide explosion par excellence on the starting line. And obviously, Keith is mighty upset. The safety crew is going up. This will probably end up being a single run for Jim Kimball here. There you see Keith Horton out of the cockpit and checking out the damage. He's looking at the top of the engine there. I would certainly suspect that that was an intake valve hanging open and causing an explosion inside the intake manifold, better known as a nitrous oxide explosion. That's a tough break for a machine that has been at this event literally year in and year out.
What is this starting line?
Well, it's going to be a solo run for Jim Kimball. He has everything to himself here, picking up the left front wheel, and then something goes wrong, and Kimball is obviously upset. What a bizarre pair in this particular battle here at the Seattle Kingdome. The Camel Mud Racing Series getting off to an outrageous start. An explosion for Keith Horton on the starting line. Kimball with a tremendously hard starting line launch. Then he runs into problems.
Definitely not what we are used to seeing in mud racing action.
We watch this slow motion replay. The truck is idling, and then that incredible explosion for Keith Horton. Like I said, an intake valve hanging open, a spark plug igniting the fuel, gas, and nitrous oxide mixture in the manifold, blowing the air cleaner completely apart on the starting line. What an explosion for Keith Horton. Now watch Jim Kimball picking up the wheels perfectly. He was on an excellent run. And then all of a sudden, no power. The thing nosedives. And we've got a tremendous fire there. I'll tell you, you couldn't see that on the first initial shot of that run, but a tremendous explosion. The bottom end of the motor going big time south, and even though people get thumbs up to the crowd.
You're lucky enough to get a front row seat at one of these events, and you definitely feel all of the thunder, and he definitely was. Coming up next in mud racing action is Risky Business, driven by Roger Bozell. He's out of Kent, Washington.
Tell you what, this is a brand new mud racer, another all fiberglass Jeep CJ funny car that is definitely state of the art. You can see the drag racing influence in the funny car style roll cage. There's a real good shot at the tachometer and all the electrical switches that control just about everything going on underneath that fiberglass body. Indeed, Bozell is certainly one of the new favorites here this weekend. Although this machine is relatively unproven in the Camel Monster Series, this should be one of the toughest vehicles here this weekend. Big block Chevrolet motivation.
Running alongside of Risky Business is Deja Vu, driven by Kingdome.
Indeed, this is really just the opposite of what we saw with Roger Bozell's. I definitely would like to know where Kingdome got some of his chassis construction ideas. This thing on a very, very high center of gravity. So he did a pretty tremendous job of retaining a lot of the stock appearance of the 1923 Ford Model T that this thing is based on. See the wing on the roll cage there, very narrow tread. It's a pretty strange ride. It is definitely overheating as he waits for Roger Bozell to move into stage. Bozell, in the meantime, looks like he may have troubles even keeping the Risky Business Jeep running. And our starter down on the starting line may indeed elect to send Tobin on a solo pass here. See what Bozell elects to do. As you can see in the far lane, the Deja Vu machine is literally starting to cook. Finally, Bozell, the Risky Business Jeep, moves into the staging beams, and we're ready to send this pair. Great launch for the Risky Business Jeep. Tremendous top-end charge, and indeed, that machine came right around like the crowd expected it to. Bozell's nitrous Chevrolet, an extremely strong run. And we've got an engine fire in the other lane. Ken Tobin of the Deja Vu 23T apparently explodes one big time just past the finish line. The safety crew's right there to put out the fire. This is turning into a pretty incredible event, already with fires and engine explosions everywhere you look. Coming off the starting line, Tobin's machine seemed to be hooking up fine, although it did make a hard left over to the outer berm. He gets out of the throttle, plants his right foot again. You can see that engine cooking. Big block Chevrolet, carbureted with nitrous oxide injection, definitely took the brunt of that heated burn down on the starting line. Then once he gets through into the shutdown area, he throws up the face mask, and you can just start to see the engine oil coming down on the exhaust headers on the left side of the engine. And indeed, as soon as it stopped and as soon as that oil started getting up to flash point, it did. Meanwhile, over the other side of the track, the Risky Business Jeep of Roger Bozell looked like it had a beautiful run going. This thing skimming the surface exactly the way it's supposed to be done. Textbook pass. And coasting through the shutdown area, stopping well short of that disqualification boundary down on the top end at 2.65 seconds. That'll be the quickest elapsed time so far, Kelly.
Yeah, with Deja Vu, he had a elapsed time of 2.87 seconds, but I don't believe we'll be seeing him again tonight. Don't go away. We have more super modified mud racing action coming up from the Seattle Kingdome.